listen when I'm saying and do it and take a chance. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your hand up on my hip. When you dip, I dip, we dip. I put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put yours, then I put mine.
What's going on, everybody? It's MidwestReefer, and yes, my dog is in a diaper, but that's for a different video or maybe a whole nother YouTube channel altogether. As you can see, my place is a mess right now. That's right, it's torn up and it's killing me, but I know if I hurry up and get this over with, I can clean and I will be good again. So I went to my local fish store today to get salt water to do a water change on my tank, and I left with more than what I intended to get, which happens to all of us. I know it happens to you guys. It definitely happens to me. So what I did is I brought home 2 new corals. That is right, and I will let you know what they are later on in the video. So right now, everything's a mess. I have one of the corals sitting in the tank, lights off, just because I got to do a water change, and I just didn't want to piss everything off worse. It's acclimating to temperature. The other one was already acclimating to temperature, and I just finished acclimating it to water quality. So some people just throw them in, some people add water manually. I bought this thing for like 14 bucks. It's a drip acclimator off of Amazon. Doradon or whatever the brand is, you can see it there. New and improved design, so make sure you get that. But essentially, it comes with these 3 components right here. Normally I would have this thing in the tank, but since I'm a little pressed for space, I have it in the bucket. I have it clipped to the side of the bucket. This is already acclimated to temperature, and the water down there is from my tank water change, same temperature. Up here, you would put water from your aquarium, set the drip speed, and away you go. Awesome, awesome thing to have. If you don't have, one, I would definitely pick up one because they're like 12 bucks off of Amazon, and it's so much more thorough with acclimating your corals and your fish, I think, than just dunking them in or half-ass doing it. I think it's a really good way to acclimate them. So those are going, and I'm about to grab that coral here pretty soon, but I want to kind of take you over to the station in my kitchen. We come over here. We have the coral dip station. Now, I know all of you guys watching my videos are dipping your corals, and if not,
Do it! Just do it!
now what I use is Coral or Coral RX. Now, I can't say it's the best of the worst because it's the only thing I've used, but I know it works. Now, luckily for me, the local fish store that I regularly go to, I never really have any hitchhikers on there. The only hitchhiker I've had on the 2 corals that I got was one little teeny snail. That's the only thing that came off of it. Now, there could be more, but I inspected it really good. The other fish store, not so much. All kinds of stuff came off of that coral. So, I mean, everything, man. There was bristleworms, there was starfish, there was some other little squigglies on there. So definitely dip your corals. It doesn't matter what your naked eye can't see. You put it in the coral dip, and I guarantee you something's coming off that bad boy. So follow the instructions, obviously, with the coral dip. I'm not going to go through that. Just read the bottle or whatever you get. I have my little station here. Now, I definitely recommend using some kind of light colored container or a white container like I have. It lets you see the hitchhikers on there. If they are falling off the coral, it will definitely let you see that. So that's what I recommend. I use this toothbrush here, not for the coral, but actually for the frag plug. Scrub out the frag plug if you are going to keep the frag plug in the tank. Today, I might try to glue some corals down for the first time, so we'll see how that goes. And then I just shake the coral up in here in the dip, and then I have 2 rinse stations right here. One is they're both saltwater, clean saltwater. Go ahead and dip it in there real good and get most of the coral dip off of there, and then I hit it with the second cup just to make sure that I got as much off of the coral dip as I've got can off of the frag before I put it into my tank. So this is the basic setup. This is just some filter pad that I cut up for trying something out with the filtration. That's for another video, so don't worry about that. But yeah, this is a little setup station, so I'll be back in a minute with the coral, and I'll show you kind of how I dip them. All right, what's up, guys? I am back, and the coral is in the dip. I went ahead and already added the Coral RX in there, so now we have it sitting in there. Let's see if we can go in for a close-up. Now, as you can see, the corals are going to be pretty pissed off when you put them in there. And these dots right here are actually little teeny worms. Almost looks like mouse poop, if you have experience with what mouse poop looks like. And we all know my camera isn't going to be good enough to focus on those bad boys. But looks like 2 of them, maybe 3 so far. And what I grab to do is I like to grab the coral by the frag plug, go ahead and swash it around. This stuff smells pretty potent, and you would think when I first dipped my corals that are in my tank now, I was like, man, there's no way this coral's surviving. I was like, it's done been took out of one tank, brought over, in the car ride, been swashed around, and then I take it out of the water, I put it in a dip of stuff, I'm swashing it around, I'm dipping it, I'm cutting it, cutting the frag plugs off or whatever. I'm like, man, this thing's dead. But lo and behold, they live. Who would have known? I guess you'd have to be, pretty extreme with them to kill them, or I guess just unlucky, I guess. I'm not a coral expert. All I know is I definitely dip my corals, and you need to dip your corals too. So, like I said, I leave it in here depending on how much stuff I see coming off of it in the first few minutes. I may leave it in here for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, no longer than 15 minutes. But every dip is going to be different. But for me, the longest I leave it in there is 10 minutes normally, besides that one frag that was pretty bad. So, like I said, just every few minutes, we go ahead and swash it. And the reason why is now some people say, put a small power head or something in here to move the water. I think it's just ridiculous. I'm just going to swash it. I guess if you had a bunch of corals that you're doing at once, then probably that wouldn't be a bad idea. But for me, like I said, I just go ahead and do that. And then it's going to be hard for me to show you exactly with one hand, but I'll take my toothbrush. And don't use an old toothbrush with toothpaste or anything on it. You don't want to contaminate the water or anything that you're putting on. So new toothbrush, they're like 60 cents. So don't be cheap on this. Just get some cheap toothbrushes. So generally what I do though with both hands is I get in there and I scrub the frag plug. If it's a big enough coral, I'll scrub the skeletal structure very lightly. But that's just to get any kind of thing that may be seated in that frag plug. This one's super clean, but hey, it's better to take the extra steps now than have to deal with the crap that comes off this coral in your tank later. So trust me, do not be lazy, do not be cheap, dip your corals. So essentially all after this, after I let it sit, I'm just going to dip it in bath 1 and then bath 2 and put it in the tank. If I'm able to record that, I'll definitely show you guys, but with one hand, I highly doubt it. I just want to give you an idea of how a setup would look to dip a coral. It doesn't have to be nothing crazy. These are all extra cups and bowls I had laying around. Rinse them out. The cups that I have here, red cups, have never been used. The bowls I bought brand new from the Dollar Tree for $1. So you just want to be really careful with cross contaminants. Label all your containers. Like I said, this one's for dip. That one used to say rinse, but it's just these are rinse cups. I even have rinse cup 1. Rinse cup 2. I mark it all over so I don't mess up. Cross-contamination can be harmful as well. Don't use old toothbrushes with toothpaste on them. Don't use old bowls if you've had soap and stuff in them. Just buy some new ones. I promise you'll be under $5. Unless you're buying crystal glasses or something, which if you're that balling, go ahead and do it. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this video right here, and then I'll show you the finished product. Hopefully, they didn't die during the dip process. But I'll be back to you guys. Everybody, it's MidwestReefer, and it's been a couple of days since I've dipped the corals. Earlier in the video, I kind of showed you and explained why you should dip your corals. Now I'm going to show you the results of dipping the corals and actually reveal what corals I got, because I actually didn't tell you guys yet what corals I picked up from the fish store. So let's take a look. So if you can see here, let me focus. I actually got 2 new hammer corals. The one up here, up top a little higher, is a single head, and then the one down here is actually 2 heads, and these have actually grown quite a bit in the last couple of days, and honestly all my corals have. I have a future video coming out that's already been made where I changed some media up and changed some things in my tank, and it seems like all my corals are growing. Even this Duncan right here is growing a head on them, and that wasn't there just probably a couple days ago. You can't really see the colors that well on this camera. It just makes everything brown and monotone, and I don't know why. But I mean, like I said, it's on an older cell phone, so You guys will have to bear with me until I stop being so cheap and buy a new camera. But they're super healthy. Like I said, I dipped them. I pulled them off the frag plugs, and I did not use bone cutters. Honestly, I just used a really sharp pocket knife that I had, and it popped right off the glue. I'm not an expert on it, but I didn't seem to damage the coral in any way. As you can see, I got them glued on there pretty good. Flow is good on them. They're growing nice and healthy, and the color is looking spot on. And these have really grown a lot in the last few days, and I'm really happy about that. We'll go ahead and take a look under the 10x real quick. This camera doesn't do the best with blues, and I guess I don't necessarily know how to adjust for it, but it's green and purple. Purple tips with green and tentacles. I think I just made a word up. Green tentacles. And they look real good under these 10x. All my corals do. Unfortunately, you guys won't be able to see exactly what I'm seeing because of the camera having a hard time distincting the colors between the blue. But dip your corals, like I said, guys. It doesn't cost virtually any money really to get a setup to dip your corals, and this is going to help you out in the long run. And I know a lot of you guys are like me. You invested a lot of time and money in your tanks, and it'd be a shame to have an overwhelming problem that's going to be hard for you to handle just because you didn't want to take the 30 minutes to dip and acclimate your corals. You definitely want to acclimate everything to temperature, to quality, dip them, do it right so you can enjoy it for a long time. I'm a super impatient person, so you would think I should be one of the last people to actually have a reef tank, but this reef tank, amongst a lot of other things in life, is teaching me patience and showing me that it definitely does pay off with this. Corals and fish are living species just like we are, and should definitely treat them with respect and give them a fair chance to have a good home and look good in your tank. So if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments below. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Put my hand up on your hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. You put your head up